Welcome back to Fast Market here on the Schwab Network. We're talking Tesla. Shares are up nearly 80% so far this year in 2023. Bounced pretty significantly this week off of multi-month lows. Kevin, when you look at this company, margins still just below 18%, better than their competitors at this point. But we saw some weak China data earlier this week, fall of 2.6% from a month earlier as far as sales. But, they seem to be the only one that's making money selling EVs.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in Tesla. And I noticed what you noticed, Tom. It hit $200 or slightly below and really bounced off that number. And I think some of that had to do with the solemn tone of Elon Musk's conference call after their earnings. He was very concerned about interest rates, very concerned about higher interest rates making EVs or cars in general less affordable. So he was very Debbie Downer in his conference call, and I think that weighed on the stock. Now, it's bounced since then, and he does have some good news. He's getting, like I said, first thing, a little macro help from interest rates have come down. The Model 3, the revamped Model 3 that they're going to sell at a higher price may spur some good news out of China. The China numbers weren't as bad as expected in terms of some of their demand. So that's still a good area of the world where he's hoping to do well in. But you're right, Tom. This stock went right to $200 and bounced, now trading $220.
Yeah, Joe, they're still focused on production of 1.8 million vehicles for 2023. They usually or typically ramp up in that final quarter of the year. But I think a lot of the catalyst had to do with Ron Barron, the notable Tesla bull, coming out and saying, hey, this company can be worth $4 trillion. I know he's selling his own book there, Joe, but at the same time, he's been pretty right so far.
I mean, look, Kevin hit the nail on the head. They're profitable where their competitors are not in selling the EVs. They've created a production cycle that allows them to make money where everybody else is losing on a per vehicle basis. Now, there's competition, and competition in China is really starting to show. I mean, you talked about this. Their EV segment in China went down to 9.9% in the third quarter. That's down from almost 13% in the second quarter. BYD's a big competitor there. And even though it trades a pretty high valuation relative to its competitors, the bottom line is it's kind of earned that to a certain extent because of its production capabilities and because of what it's done with its own supply chains. So what you're looking at with Tesla right now is do you believe, right? Do you believe that demand will continue to remain strong with rates where they're at? Are people going to be able to continue with durable goods purchases at these type of levels? If they're borrowing at 6, 7, 8% a clip, depending upon how many years they're going out to borrow for these cars. So I think you're making a bet on the consumer. You're making a bet on the adoption of the EVs. And we haven't, besides Tesla, we just haven't seen mass adoption of EVs, and it really is kind of a coastal story as well too. Out here on the West Coast, you see them everywhere. You get to the Midwest, not as much. So it's slow adoption, but they are meeting their production targets and they are meeting their delivery targets, and they continue to do so. Now, you mentioned the gross margins have gone down. Absolutely, they've gone down. They're below that 20% clip that I think a lot of people were looking at as a really important kind of floor. But when you look at that relative to the margins that you're seeing with its two biggest competitors, it's still leaps and bounds above it. But once again, that's why it trades at a premium.
Yeah, it's always traded at a premium. And I think Joe got a little dig there in on us, Kevin. He thinks that the people on the West Coast are cooler than us. They've got all the new toys before that we get them here in the Midwest. But be that as it may, Joe.
We need to bring Joe out to the western suburbs of Chicago because, believe me, there's a lot of Teslas out here.